What do you think about investment grade cars? Like, what cars do you think exist today that would be a good investment long term, or even treating cars like an investment? Doug Demure has been very outspoken that cars are not investments and should never be treated as investments.
I disagree with that. I mean, I've built an entire YouTube channel, entire career with cars with nothing. I bought a Lamborghini Gallardo and turned it into,
No, I don't think he's talking about content creators. I think he's talking about the average person who's on maybe Cars and Bids and like, I'm going to make money with this.
However, and I see it from that standpoint as well. But in this day and age, I think you have to leverage your social media score or whatever you want to call it into everything you buy, and that can be included in an investment. But if let's take that out.
Yeah,
let's take social media out entirely. I have bought a handful of cars that I have known with 100% certainty are going to go up in value. Just like the same mindset you'd have with real estate. That manual Murcielago, I paid $275 for that car. I knew with 100% certainty it was going to go up in value.
How did you know that?
I've been a car guy my whole life. I love cars. I know exactly what cars are going to go up in value. They're the cars that when you were a little kid, you saw them and your jaw hit the ground. Those are the cars that are going to go up in value.
So what are we looking at today that is undervalued?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you my list. The Acura NSX, the new one.
The new one? Okay.
The new one.
Okay.
I think it's underappreciated. I think it's a really good value.
Right.
The original Audi R8 that's a manual transmission. The V8 one.
Yep.
I've been wrong about this so far. The Tesla Roadster.
Okay.
Prices are coming down.
You haven't been entirely. They've gone up a little.
They peaked. I bought mine at the peak.
Oh, okay.
And they've been slowly going down since then.
Yeah.
The Ford GT, I think, is a good one.
Which generation?
2005.
Okay. Yep.
2005 and 6. That's probably about it. That I think is. Oh, and the Honda S2000.
So I will say there's a couple factors that are the most important, and then not the number one factor, but obviously production number. I mean, that's everything, right? Supply and demand is everything. The reason the manual Murcielagos have gone up so much in value is because a Murcielago at its core is very, very rare. Then you break it down to the manual transmission, also very, very, very rare. So that car is obviously going to be worth a lot, especially as the brands evolve and change over time. So Lamborghini is a brand, and I usually speak with Lamborghini because I feel more of an expert on the brand because I've owned so many. Lamborghini, they built 4,000 Murcielagos from beginning to end, from 2002 to 2010. So very, very low production number. And now you have the Huracans where they've built, 14 to 20,000 of them. So just that alone just shows that the Lamborghini brand is getting so strong, so strong, so strong. Those guys that have those new Lamborghinis are going to eventually want to have the older ones as well, right? Like, especially as you become collectors, you're going to want to get the whole lineup of cars. So that's going to drive the value up on the older cars that are very, very rare. So rarity is always a very, very important factor.
If you're to name 3 cars today that you feel like over the next 10 years would be great investments, what are those cars? At any price point.
Right. Okay, so an interesting car, and obviously the manufacturers play a huge role in this, right? But the Mark V Supra, the manual transmission Mark V Supra, is very, very rare. Now, if Toyota continues, if let's say next year they unveil another manual Supra and they build 10,000 of them, this will be wrong. But right now, finding a manual Supra is almost impossible. And I think someday, in 10 years, when the Mark V is more appreciated, like the Mark IV Supra gets all the love, all the attention, but I think the Mark V at some point will get its day. I think the manual ones will be worth a lot because they're so incredibly rare. It's such a unique piece to have. Now, I'm not saying this car is going to be worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands, but let's say it's worth 50 grand. Maybe you could get one for 130 grand, right? In a couple of years, or in 10 years, let's say. So I like that one. I don't follow the car market as closely as probably some people, especially I really follow the hypercar market. I'm very in tune with the hypercar market. And the Koenigsegg, we talked about that earlier. there's a reason that I bought the car when I did, and I stretched the budget so incredibly far, because to me, the Koenigsegg Agera is the car that put Koenigsegg on the map. That's when I discovered them. That's when most people discovered them. Top speed production car world record. The McLaren F1 has proved that method as far as appreciation. So I think the Koenigsegg, but once again, a lot of it depends on what the manufacturer does in the future, right? Koenigsegg building the new Gemera, that's going to up the production of the entire car company like double overnight. If they unveil more and more and more cars, that'll change the perception of the brand. If they introduce an entry level car, that'll change the brand as well. And so there's so many factors that are outside of our control that determine whether these cars continue to go up in value. I think that Lamborghini as a brand is a really, really undervalued brand. I think the Countach have started to see their day. I bought my car for $475, and it's probably worth like $600-ish maybe. But when you think of you look at the comparable cars, Lamborghini is one of the biggest automotive manufacturers in the world as far as perception, right? As far as like brand image, like people see Lamborghini, and the Countach is the car. Like that is in my mind sort of the car, the flagship Lamborghini. Every Lamborghini after that was inspired by the Countach. You have the Miura that was a very special car, but I think Countach put Lamborghini on the map. And you can pick up their flagship car. There's 2,000 of them in the world, and you can pick it up for $500,000. Then you look at Ferrari, you look at the comparable car, which would be the F40. They built about 1,200 F40s, and those cars are trading for $3 to $4 million. So you have two brands that are very popular, both Italian, same kind of car that put each on the map, same era. The Ferrari's worth $3 million and the Countach is worth $500. So I feel like the Countach definitely has room to go up a lot. And Doug DeMuro has one, and I think for the same reasoning.
Yeah. He has the same one, right? It's white on white.
Yeah. He tried to buy mine.
Did he actually?
I mean, loosely.
Okay.
He texted me. He's like, would you ever sell your Countach? I was like, nope. He's like, that's what I thought.
Why
I'm going to buy one.
Give him a high number? Say yes, $800,000. It's yours. Throw out a number where it's like
No. I mean, Doug and I are friends. First off,
yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't want to rip somebody off.
I know, but
like if somebody offered me, $1 million for my Lotus, I'm not going to do that. I just feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to do that.
But see, I think everything would have a price, and you just say,
no. Okay,
if someone pays you $10 million for this.
For sure, of course.
It's like you got to throw a price where it makes sense.
This car would make sense.
Yes,
but I also know that Doug is a smart guy. He's a friend of mine. Like there's a lot of white Countaches out there. There's enough white Countaches out there. I'm not ready to sell mine. I'm not going to sell it at a discount. I'm also not going to sell it. I'm not going to try to rip off the guy, and I'm not even going to suggest that he pays me $750,000 because to me it's almost rude to do that because he's educated. He knows the market. I think he was hoping to probably just get the car for market value, and I had just gotten the car. I've only owned it for, at the time, maybe a year or so. And I'm still enjoying the car. And I don't buy cars necessarily for investment reasons. I've been lucky on a couple of them. I've predicted a couple of them, but I also buy the cars that I like.
Yeah.
And an investment, you never really make the money unless you sell the car.
Yeah.
So like the Murcielago is worth double what I paid for it, but it doesn't really matter because I'm never going to sell the car.
Yeah.